Hey everyone, my name is Chloe and today I'm here to do a recommendation video. So you guys, I love recommendation videos and I want to make more of them here on this channel, but I'm paralyzed by how many options there are of things to recommend. And as you will see, I have a really hard time narrowing down books. So let me know down below what recommendations you want to see, whether it be tropes, genres, themes, whatever it may be. Let me know what you want to see down below, and I'm going to try to do more recommendation videos because making this list brought me so much joy, and I really love making them and getting to rave about some of my favorite books. So today, for the first one, we are going to do one of my favorite tropes, which is books that play with time. So whether it be The Road Not Traveled or some sort of alternate universe or just time travel, whatever it may be. I am leaving out books that are Groundhog's Day tropes because I realize I've read quite a few of those. And so I'm going to do a whole video in and of itself of Groundhog's Day tropes. So these will not include that, but these are all books that play with time. So I've got some recommendations, some honorable mentions, and then also books that are on my TBR. And like I said, I love this trope. And so I really want to know, what you guys have read and what you guys love too. So let me know down below. So let's just get into the book. So first we have one of my all-time favorites, The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain. So this book takes place in the 70s. This woman is pregnant and she finds out that her daughter her baby has a heart condition that they don't know how to fix in 1970. Well, she is given the opportunity to time travel forward to the early 2000s where they do know how to fix it. And so she, I'm not going to say anything more. She has that opportunity, and how the time traveling goes is so compelling. Here's a twist in this book that is just, I didn't see it coming. It is so good. This book is so good. I've heard so many people rave about it. I don't think I've heard any bad words about it. If you haven't read this, please, please, please read this immediately. So that's number one. Next, we have The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie by Rachel Linden. So this one is actually my favorite book of last year. This is about a woman who is given the opportunity to have these lemon drops. And every time she eats a lemon drop, she gets to go back to a pivotal point at some point in her life. So whether it's a decision she made or a person she loved or something, she gets to go back and live that life for some time. And it is just so fascinating to me. I love this idea of just what would happen if we could change one little thing, or would we go back to a time when somebody was still alive or something was going on. And this is not just romantic. There's familial love. There's all sorts of things going on in this book that made it so good. I would highly recommend, obviously, because this is a recommendation video. Next is one I just recently read. This is The Second Chance Here by Melissa Wiesner. So this is about a girl who has had just kind of a rough time. She is very outspoken, very opinionated, all of that. And her kind of outspokenness, she thinks, gets her into trouble. She loses her boyfriend, almost fiance, or maybe fiance. She loses her job. She's living on her brother's best friend's couch or spare room. And she gets this opportunity to go to a fortune teller on New Year's Eve or something, and gets the chance to relive her year. So she has a second chance at this year. So this is kind of Groundhogsy in the sense of it's a whole year, but she gets to relive the year and realizes that the cost may be too high, because the cost means keeping her mouth shut and going along with things and going pretty counter personality. And also some of the relationships she gained in the hardship, maybe they were worth it, So really just thinking about who you are. This is big in the Me Too movement. It definitely is a proponent of speaking up for yourself, and that don't let society ever tell you you are too much, because you're not, and you're perfect the way you are. And if people around you don't recognize that, that's a them thing, not a you thing. And I love this book. Next is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is in a rough condition. My copy is well loved, but this is about a woman who runs into her kind of one who got away, this guy, and the book follows two paths. One, as if she goes home with him and potentially has a life with him, and one if she doesn't. And we get to see kind of both paths of what her life would be like. So sort of time travel-y, more of an alternate reality, but so interesting. Again, I mean, all of us, I think, have a relationship that's like, what if that didn't end? And for me, thank goodness it did. And it's so interesting to think those things through. So love this book as well. Next is one I don't have, and it's In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. So this is about a girl, and I identified a lot with her. She's kind of, she's an attorney, very type A, and she is engaged to this guy. Everything seems good and great, whatever. Well, she wakes up, and it's 5 years in the future. She is engaged or potentially living with another guy, and she has no idea how she got there. And so we kind of see the 5 years unfold and how she got there, and again, which life is better. So interesting. Just, I cannot fathom waking up and having my life be completely different, being in the future, all of that. And it's so interesting. And Rebecca Serle must love the time travel trope because she also has One Italian Summer. So this is about a girl whose mother dies, or she's very sick, and she goes to Italy and somehow finds her mother there 30 years younger. And so it's their adventures there. There is romance in this, and this one wasn't my favorite. I definitely liked In 5 Years better, but she must like this trope. So there's that. Next, we have Oona Out of Order by Margarita Montimore. So this is about a woman named Oona. Her birthday is on New Year's Day, and every New Year's, she wakes up and she's a different age. So she is living her life out of order. She may be 18 this year and 28 the next year and 6 the next year, whatever it may be. So we are following Oona through all these different stages of life, living out of order. And it's interesting to see kind of where life is at different stages, and to think through that and how you would navigate this, and really like this book. Next is Landline by Rainbow Rowell. This one is set at Christmas time, but I wouldn't say it's a Christmas book. This is about a woman, and I think they have 2 kids maybe, and a husband, and it's almost Christmas time. She's a workaholic, and right before they're about to go home to his family's for Christmas, she says she can't go. She's got to stay and work. And so he goes with the kids, and while he's there, they find an opportunity to communicate back when he's young. And so they're communicating. Right now their marriage is in trouble. Life is really kind of challenging. They've got all these, resentment built up issues. And they get this opportunity to go talk to each other before any of that happened. And I think that is so interesting. As somebody who's been married for a little while, what would happen if we stripped all the baggage that has come over years and years of marriage and got back to when life was easy? When you're dating, life was easy. All you get to do is enjoy each other, have fun. You don't have the real, mortgage, kids, combining families, all the hard things that come with marriage don't exist yet. And so you can just be with each other. And it's really interesting to think about pausing that in the middle of the chaos. So love this book. And then my last recommendation is Time of My Life by Allison Winn Scotch. So this is about a woman who has a seemingly pretty good life. She's got a good job, a husband, her marriage is not great, but she's got some kids, things are going pretty good for her. Then she wakes up 7 years in the past, and she's with kind of the one who got away, and she gets an opportunity to live those 7 years again. And what would you do? Would you, knowing how things end up, she's not really happy in the current timeline. So what would you do? And this one has pretty low ratings on Goodreads, and I don't understand, because as a mother, this tore me apart because her child doesn't exist. She's 7, it's 7 years ago, and her child doesn't exist. She's with a different guy. So, it also makes you think about marriage, no matter how hard it is, and their marriage is struggling, all of that kind of stuff. But that marriage is what gave you those children, and you could get married to somebody different and maybe have a happier marriage, but you would not have your children. And I don't know. I just think this one tore me apart. I loved it and would highly recommend. I also really like this cover. I don't remember it being overly wintry, but this cover definitely is. So there's that. Now I've got a couple of honorable mentions, and these are books that I personally didn't love, but you might if you love this trope, so it's one to try out. We've got The 2 Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silvers. So this is about a woman. We meet her, and her fiance, husband, something, dies right in the beginning. and she is given sleeping pills to kind of cope with the grief. And she finds out when she takes these pills, she is living in an alternate reality where her fiance or whatever did not die. And so the reason I didn't really like this is because it's not a super healthy coping strategy that we're modeling there. And like it felt like it kind of like delayed the grieving. And I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite, but you might like it. We also have This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. So this is about a girl, again, who she's like 40 or something, and her life is okay. She's, somewhat unsatisfied at work. She's, I think, unmarried, and her dad is like pretty ill. And so then she's able to go back in time travel to when she's 16. Her dad is lively, there's all the hope for the future, all that kind of stuff. And we time travel back and forth. I would say this is very, very, very little romance. So if you're looking for something overly romantic, this is probably not it. But that is a small element, but it's more about her relationship with her dad. Her dad in the present time is in a coma, so he's not really a character, and I didn't really ever get like attached in the way I wanted to, but this one you may like more than I did. Next, we have The Time Between Us by Tamara, or it's Time Between Us. If you try to search on Google, The Time Between Us, it will not show up. It's Time Between Us by Tamara Ireland Stone. And this is about a girl who meets this guy at track practice. They're seniors in high school, something like that. And then they have a connection. He mysteriously vanishes. And then later, much later, she sees him again in school and he has no recollection of her. Well, the problem is she lives in 2012. He's from 1995 and he can time travel. And so his life, again, is kind of out of order. Things are a little chaotic. There's that. And then last, we have the OG kind of classic, The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffeneger. And this one is on honorable mentions because it has been so long since I've read this. I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads, but it's back in the day where I rated everything 5 stars. So I don't know what my opinion is on this book, but this is a book about a couple who they meet when she's like 6 and he's like in his 20s or 30s, maybe even. And then they end up getting married when they're both in their 20s because he is time traveling to different times throughout his life. And so he doesn't have control over it. And so they are just trying to navigate their marriage, relationship, all of that kind of stuff while he's jumping around through time. So those are all of the books that I have read with this trope. And again, keeping the Groundhog's Day ones off of this was really hard because there's some good ones there. But now here's the list of books that I want to read with this trope. So we've got Woke Up Like This by Amy Lee. This is about 2 high school seniors who are kind of rivals. They're kind of arch nemesis. And they have to plan prom together. And so they're planning prom together. Things are not going well. Then they wake up the next morning and they're in their 30s and they're engaged. So how did that happen? And she, I think, is not happy about it, but also he's like a comforting piece of her past in this chaotic time that she has no idea what's going on. So I'm assuming their relationship is going to develop, but sounds cute. Next is A Day Like This by Kelley McNeil. This one sounds a little more heavy hitting. It's just an average day for this mother. She takes her daughter to the pediatrician for a checkup or something. And then she has a car crash and she wakes up in the hospital and it's as if the past 5 years have not happened. So her daughter doesn't exist. And it didn't happen. Her marriage is kind of in trouble. Things are not going well. And she doesn't know, is she crazy? Did she imagine this 5 years? Did she time travel? What happened? I don't know. Sounds like it's going to be hard hitting. Again, with that whole losing your child and nobody believing you thing, that is something that's like very triggering in a fascinating way. Anyway, This Spells Love by Kate Robb. So this is about a woman who wishes to have her ex removed from her life. She doesn't want to have memory of him because I think it was a bad breakup. Things aren't good. And so she gets her wish and she wakes up. That relationship hasn't happened, but her best friend also doesn't know who she is. And so, again, like, is it worth it? And trying to reacquaint herself with her best friend, who is a male, I think. And yeah, sounds cute. Next is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. This one's another somewhat new release, and it's about a woman who realizes that every time she goes up into her attic, she travels time and is with a different husband and a different life situation. Again, more of an alternate reality thing than actually time travel, because I don't know if the timing changes or not, or if it's just like life circumstances in present day. I'm not really sure. But it sounds fascinating because, again, like, I don't know. I just think it's so interesting. Marriage is so hard. And I mean, I've only been married once. I have the one husband, but like, I imagine it doesn't really matter who you're married to. There's going to be problems. It's just, that whole like, thing of like, if you hung everybody's problem on a clothing line, you'd probably want to pick your own, because every situation is going to have some conflict. Next is The Good Part by Sophie Cousens. So Sophie Cousens and I are on rocky water. We've had some good ones, we've had some bad ones, but this is about a woman that prays to skip to the good part of her life. I think she's like mid-20s somewhere when she does this, and she wakes up and now she's 40 and she has the perfect life. She has a husband, a good job, kids, all that kind of stuff, and she wonders, like, does she want to go back? She missed so much of life. Does she want to go back? Like, is this how life would have played out, or is this something different? What does she want to do? I don't know. Next is Cassandra in Reverse by Holly Smale. This is about a woman who realizes she can go back in time and kind of rewind her life and change things. And so she does, but is she changing the right things? I think that's so interesting to think about. Like, do you live life with regrets? Do you not? And all of that, it's really interesting to think about what you would change if you could, or if you would change anything. Next is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I feel like everybody and their mother is talking about this lately. This is about two people who share this gal's aunt's apartment, and he is living 7 years in the past. So in this apartment, it's kind of a slip through time, and he's 7 years in the past. I think her aunt's still alive. They start a relationship, kind of, but they're living in different times. So how does that work? I don't really know, but I would love to see. Next is Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. So I think this is his debut, and it's got pretty low ratings on Goodreads, but it sounds interesting to me. It's about a guy that meets a girl, and he's really smitten with her. His best friends all love her. This is a perfect situation, and then she dies. And he is able to go back in time to when they first met and maybe prevent her from dying. I don't really know. So, it sounds interesting to me. And then I think that's it. That's actually the whole list. It's interesting. So I've got a whole bunch with this time travel trope because I love it. So if you've read any of these, let me know, especially the ones on my TBR. Are there any that I should hurry and pursue quickly? Are there any you would add to this list? Because I love this trope, and so I would love to read more. Again, I'm going to have to do the Groundhog's Day one soon because I love those books too. So let me know down below what tropes, what recommendations do you want to see? I would love to do at least one of these a month because it's so fun to talk about some of my favorite books. And yeah, that is everything. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.